Imagine waking up to a cosmic event that rewrites the rules of physics overnight. It's March 11th, 2026, and less than 12 hours ago, at precisely 4:15 UTC, the telemetry from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter delivered news that stunned astronomers worldwide. This wasn't a sensor error, a software glitch, or a statistical anomaly. No, this was something far more extraordinary, a gravitational shove, precise and colossal, that physically moved the planet Mars. To grasp the magnitude, consider Mars, a planet with a mass of roughly 6.4 times 10^23 kilograms. Shifting a planet of that size by even a fraction of its orbit usually demands the energy of asteroid impacts or planetary collisions. Yet there was no impact. There was no catastrophic event. Instead, as an interstellar object known as 3I Atlas passed through the orbital plane, Mars lurched 3,000 miles closer to Earth's orbital path in just 42 minutes. That's 4,800 kilometers. In cosmic terms, it's nearly instantaneous. In terms of celestial mechanics, it's an earthquake in the laws of physics. NASA's Deep Space Network in Goldstone, California, detected the first Doppler shift. Shortly after, ESA's tracking station in New Norcia, Australia, confirmed it independently. The data matched perfectly. Mars accelerated. 3I Atlas didn't merely fly by, it interacted, altering the orbit of a planet without collision. And here's the kicker. Classical physics says this shouldn't be possible. Newton's laws dictate that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If Atlas exerted enough gravitational force to move Mars, it should have slowed down, lost velocity. But the James Webb Space Telescope's tracking data showed the opposite. 3I Atlas accelerated too, a phenomenon scientists are calling a double positive velocity event. It's like two billiard balls colliding and both speeding up. Think about that for a moment. We're witnessing an object that manipulates local gravity fields in ways previously confined to theoretical physics. An object the size of a small city just nudged a planet, yet remained unaffected. The implications are staggering. Astronomers at the Vera Rubin Observatory are now recalculating Mars's orbital parameters because a single shift like this destabilizes the entire inner solar system. Jupiter tugs on Mars, Mars tugs on Earth. A tiny misalignment can cascade through the planetary dance, altering orbital resonance in unpredictable ways. 15 minutes after the event, Mars rovers Perseverance and the European Rosalind Franklin rover sent back seismic data. But this wasn't a standard quake. The vibration suggested mechanical engagement, precise and controlled, as if Mars itself had been pulled along a targeted path. The timeline is critical. 3I Atlas had been unremarkable for decades, an interstellar object hurtling at 67 kilometers per second relative to the Sun. Yet on March 7, 14 UTC, the Deep Space Network antenna, DSS, 43 inches Canberra picked up the first anomaly, a low-frequency hum, a gravitational resonance localized around the object's path. Initially dismissed as solar wind interference, the anomaly was soon confirmed by ESA's Gaia spacecraft. It observed micro-lensing effects, background stars bending visibly as Atlas passed. Pause. Gravity bends light. That's Einstein, 101. But 3I Atlas is only 12 kilometers wide. A mass this small shouldn't bend light detectably, yet it did. For 4 hours, it displayed the gravitational signature of a planet. Then, at 1830 UTC, the real anomaly began. As Atlas crossed Mars's orbital plane, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's accelerometers registered a drag, a measurable deviation in trajectory. The ESA Trace Gas Orbiter confirmed it. Even the UAE's HOPE probe recorded the same effect, a synchronized gravitational vector across multiple altitudes. This wasn't a glitch. It was a focused, high-intensity gravitational well moving through the Martian system. And the physics gets stranger. If Atlas suddenly had planetary mass, Mars should have been catastrophically affected. Tidal upheaval, atmospheric stripping, destruction. None of that occurred. Instead, the gravitational pull was directional, almost like a spotlight, concentrated on Mars while leaving the surrounding environment untouched. Classical gravity doesn't work like this. To bend it selectively, you must manipulate space-time geometry, the stuff of theoretical warp drives. Yet orbital charts confirm Mars shifted inward 3,000 miles, shortening its year by approximately 18 seconds. Small? Perhaps. But in celestial mechanics, even tiny shifts have enormous consequences. Picture the solar system as a rubber sheet, planets as rolling balls. Atlas didn't just roll past, it reached down, grabbed the sheet near Mars, and yanked it forward. Then, at 22:15 UTC, the anomaly vanished. 3I Atlas returned to a standard inert trajectory, but telescopes recorded something else. A plasma sheath, highly ionized argon and xenon surrounding the comet. These noble gases require immense energy to ionize, yet space is cold, and Atlas remained dark. No heat spike, no infrared signature. The energy wasn't thermal, it was gravitational, pulled directly from the vacuum energy of space itself. And finally, buried within that ionized trail, a signal appeared. Pulsed radio bursts at 1.42 gigahertzes, the hydrogen line, universal frequency but organized, precise, a 60-second sequence. Random outgassing doesn't do this. It's as if the comet is sending instructions, pulses coded with intention. And it gets even more astonishing. The sequence wasn't just random, it included a binary image, echoing the Arecibo message sent in 1974. Only, the human figure was now standing over Mars, and the DNA helix had become triple-stranded. This wasn't just communication, it was intelligence modifying our own message, aligning it with the events we just observed. As the dust settles on the first revelations, we are forced to confront the trajectory of 3I Atlas. It isn't leaving the solar system as a typical interstellar visitor. No, its path has changed. The gravitational maneuver around Mars, intended or at least executed over the last 72 hours, altered its velocity enough that it has now entered a capture orbit around the Sun. Unlike comets that swing by and disappear into the void, 3I Atlas is slowing down, bending its path toward Earth. Calculations from JPL reveal a perigee, a closest approach within 40,000 kilometers of Earth. That's inside the orbit of our geostationary satellites. Mars wasn't the destination. Mars was the accelerator, a gravity assist, and now the real target is us. This raises profound questions. Why Mars? Why the habitable zone? There are only two possibilities. 3I Atlas is either preparing the red planet for life terraforming on an unimaginable scale, or it is using Mars as a strategic shield, positioning it between Earth and some unknown objective. And then there's the signal. Until now, radio pulses detected by the Allen Telescope Array were simple, mathematical, repetitive sequences, prime numbers, binary patterns, almost like a handshake. But at 8:14 UTC today, the signal changed. It evolved from basic beeps into a high-bandwidth transmission spanning the waterhole frequencies between 1.4 and 1.7 gigahertzes. Embedded in that transmission was a binary image, 1,679 bits, the exact length of the Arecibo message we sent into space over 50 years ago, returning to us, modified. The implications are staggering. The human figure is now positioned over Mars instead of Earth. The double helix is now a triple helix. The signal isn't passive. It reflects knowledge, comprehension of our biology, and awareness of our history. It's intelligence at a level that is beyond our previous understanding. This is not random, it's deliberate. Within 2 hours, the SETI Institute's public feed went offline. The data, however, had already spread across the amateur astronomy community. Thousands of raw recordings are available on forums, revealing a structured, purposeful communication aligned with 3I Atlas's gravitational maneuvers. Consider the timing. The message arrived 42 minutes after Mars's displacement, the exact time it takes light to travel from Mars to Earth. This indicates the signal was sent instantly as the maneuver completed. The sender was observing the event in real time. Then there's the countdown, encoded in a second set of pulses, decreasing in frequency, perfectly synchronized with the object's arrival at Earth orbit. Every telescope on Earth monitoring the signal is now witnessing a cosmic clock ticking down toward our planet, terminating in precisely 14 days. Now, let's revisit the energy involved. Moving Mars 3,000 miles in 42 minutes requires energy beyond comprehension. A rocket engine would need more fuel than exists in the universe. A gravitational tractor would need millions of years. Yet 3I Atlas accomplished this in minutes without physically touching Mars. The only possible explanation is metric engineering, manipulating the fabric of spacetime itself. In essence, it steepened the local curvature of the cosmic trampoline, pulling Mars forward into a new orbit. The energy required 10.27 joules is equivalent to the sun's output for an entire second. Yet the object remained cold and dark. There was no explosion, no thermal signature, nothing that should be physically possible. The ionized plasma surrounding Atlas argon and xenon confirms this. Noble gases require immense energy to ionize. There is no natural explanation in the conditions of deep space. Yet the comet produced a plasma sheath strong enough to alter gravity, channeling it like a directed beam. And while we often imagine gravity as a uniform field, the data suggest it was concentrated, directional, precise. A gravitational spotlight locking onto Mars and moving it like a tethered object. General relativity doesn't allow for such control. We are witnessing what scientists can only describe as controlled space-time manipulation, a warp bubble. Pause to imagine what this means. A warp bubble, local manipulation of space-time, directional gravity, and an intelligence capable of not only moving planets but modifying a message we sent half a century ago. It's a civilization or an object with capabilities that dwarf anything humanity has achieved. And yet, it appears deliberate, strategic, and synchronized, leaving nothing to chance. Every detail, gravitational shove, plasma, sheath, ionization, pulse signal, trajectory, adjustment is intentional. We are not dealing with natural physics. We are witnessing the intersection of extreme engineering and conscious strategy. And while scientists scramble to understand the mechanics, we must confront the existential dimension. Why Earth? Why the habitable zone? If the triple helix modification in the returned message is any indication, 3I Atlas is not just interacting with planets, it is interacting with life itself. DNA, human history, our biology. The redirection of Mars may have been preparatory, moving a planet into position for some future purpose, whether as a shield or a step in a larger plan. Meanwhile, the countdown pulses indicate a precise timeline. The object will reach Earth orbit in 2 weeks, and everything observed up to now, gravitational anomalies, signal transmission, space-time manipulation, is leading to this moment. No existing model predicts this. Astrophysics, celestial mechanics, SETI, planetary defense, they are all reacting in real time, calculating scenarios that until yesterday were purely theoretical. Even the concept of a gravitational drive, a propulsion system moving an object by controlling gravity, was speculative. Today, it has been observed and measured, and it is heading toward our planet. Governments remain silent, emergency protocols are in motion, and public disclosure is minimal. Yet the data leaks have made it impossible to ignore. The precision of the event is as astounding as its scale. 4 hours of concentrated gravitational influence, movement of a planetary mass, modification of a radio signal containing biological data, and controlled acceleration, all without heat, without radiation, without the chaotic consequences physics predicts. The evidence points to intelligence using energy in ways humans can barely theorize, operating on a scale of the solar system. And as we speak, the countdown accelerates. The pulses grow closer together, Earth is in the crosshairs, and the timeline is finite. In summary, here is what we know with certainty. Mars has moved 4,800 kilometers. 3I Atlas used a gravitational drive to do it. The Arecibo message was returned, altered, reflecting biological information. And the object is not leaving, it is approaching Earth. Documented observations confirm this, and yet the why remains unknown. The implications touch physics, astronomy, biology, and existential risk. Humanity is witnessing, in real time, an event that will redefine our understanding of the universe and our place within it. The countdown is on. Every observation, every calculation, every pulse signal from 3I Atlas is converging toward a single point, our planet. The stakes could not be higher. And while we are still decoding the signal, the trajectory, and the physical phenomena, one fact remains undeniable. This is not random. This is deliberate. This is intelligent. And Earth has exactly 2 weeks before we encounter the next phase of this unprecedented event. With the countdown accelerating and Earth in the direct path of 3I Atlas, the global scientific community is in overdrive. Observatories from Chile to Hawaii, from Europe to Asia, have locked their instruments onto the approaching object, tracking every subtle change in its gravitational field, every fluctuation in its signal, and every photon reflected from its surface. Amateur astronomers are contributing in real time, streaming raw telemetry online, dissecting pulse sequences, and cross-referencing orbital data. For the first time in history, humanity is witnessing a celestial event where both physics and intelligence collide in real time, with a timeline that leaves no room for delay. 3I Atlas is no longer a distant curiosity. It has become a subject of immediate concern. Its trajectory has been calculated with unprecedented precision, and the results are sobering. As it approaches Earth, the gravitational field it carries is not just strong, it is directional, laser-focused, and actively manipulating space-time. Mars was a warm-up, a test, a demonstration. The sheer scale of this operation suggests an intelligence capable of planetary engineering, of targeting celestial bodies, and of executing operations with precision and foresight far beyond humanity's current reach. Every detail, the ionized plasma trail, the pulsed radio signal, the warp bubble effect, is an instruction manual for understanding a level of technology that could alter the fate of life on Earth. The SETI Institute has confirmed what the raw data hinted at hours ago. The returned Arecibo message is deliberate, intelligent, and updated. The triple helix modification indicates awareness of terrestrial biology, specifically our genetic structure. The human figure standing above Mars in the message hints at either a plan to influence the planet or a message of preparation. The signal isn't random cosmic noise or a chance alignment of matter. It's deliberate communication, an engineered transmission that responds to both our past and our present. By receiving a message we sent over 50 years ago, analyzing it, and returning it altered, the entity behind 3I Atlas has demonstrated comprehension, intent, and technological capability. And yet, the questions remain chilling. Why Mars first? Why alter the trajectory toward Earth? The timing is deliberate. The countdown embedded in the signal is perfectly synchronized with the object's arrival. We are being given a window, a period of observation and preparation. The clock is ticking, and the end of that countdown is now set to coincide with the object's closest approach. Governments remain silent, emergency briefings are classified, and yet the leaks circulating among scientific communities and the public paint a clear picture. 3I Atlas is coming, and humanity is in the middle of a celestial experiment. Physicists and engineers are attempting to model the event, but classical mechanics falls short. Calculating the energy required for the observed gravitational manipulations results in numbers that defy imagination. Moving Mars 4,800 kilometers in 42 minutes would require more energy than is available in the Sun for multiple seconds. Yet no heat, radiation, or explosive release accompanied the maneuver. The energy seems to manifest purely as gravitational potential, a focused distortion of spacetime. The warp bubble, the directional gravity, and the ionized plasma sheath are all evidence of an advanced manipulation of the cosmos, something theorized in equations but never before observed in reality. Meanwhile, the pulse signal from 3I Atlas continues to evolve. Initially, a simple binary handshake, it now encodes complex data across the water-hole band. The bit sequences include patterns that, when analyzed, suggest knowledge of orbital mechanics, planetary environments, and biological structures. The entity has demonstrated comprehension of not only physics but also life itself. If this is a natural phenomenon, it is unlike anything previously known. If it is intelligent, it is far beyond any technology humanity has ever conceived. The duality of the signal gravitational manipulation and structured data transmission suggests a hybrid operation, part physical interaction, part communication. Emergency protocols have been quietly activated worldwide. Agencies that normally release information cautiously are withholding details, likely to prevent panic. Yet the data leaks reveal an undeniable reality. The countdown will end in exactly 14 days, coinciding with the object's close approach. The world is witnessing an unprecedented intersection of science, technology, and potential extraterrestrial intelligence. There is no historical precedent for preparing for a planetary encounter of this scale, with both a physical and a communicative component. Every calculation, every observation, every pulse of information is a clue to understanding the intentions behind 3I Atlas. Now consider the implications for Earth. If the trajectory holds, 3I Atlas will enter near-Earth space within the orbit of geostationary satellites. This is not just a flyby. It is a deliberate insertion into Earth's orbital environment. The potential for interaction, gravitational, electromagnetic, or otherwise, is immense. The observed phenomena suggest the object could manipulate not only its own path, but also the environment around it, including planetary bodies. The combination of a gravitational drive, a warp bubble, and a high-bandwidth data transmission is a level of control previously relegated to theoretical physics or science fiction. The scientific community is now forced to consider the unthinkable, the possibility of intentional contact. The entity behind 3I Atlas has demonstrated both intelligence and capability. It can move planets, encode messages, and manipulate gravity. The triple helix signal suggests an understanding of biology. The question is no longer, what is it, but why is it here? And perhaps more importantly, what does it intend for Earth? The timing, the trajectory, the data all point to a deliberate strategy. The object is not a passive comet, a rogue asteroid, or an inert rock. It is active, intelligent, and approaching with purpose. As humanity watches, the countdown continues. Each pulse, each signal, each gravitational nuance is a warning and an invitation. The universe is revealing a capability beyond human comprehension, but it is doing so on a schedule we can observe. We have 2 weeks to prepare, to analyze, to understand, and to respond. Every telescope, every observatory, every monitoring system is now engaged in decoding this cosmic message and the mechanisms behind it. The implications reach beyond physics. They touch on survival, communication, and the potential for interaction with an intelligence far superior to our own. The next 14 days will define the threshold of human knowledge and preparedness. The arrival of 3I Atlas is not just an astronomical event, it is a test, a communication, and perhaps a challenge. And as we monitor the signals, calculate the orbits, and study the gravitational effects, one undeniable truth emerges. This is the moment where humanity must confront the unknown directly. The universe has provided a puzzle, a warning, and an opportunity, all in a single celestial object. So, watch closely, listen carefully, and pay attention to every pulse, every signal, every movement. 3I Atlas is approaching, and the clock is ticking. In 2 weeks, we will witness the culmination of an event that will redefine our understanding of physics, intelligence, and our place in the cosmos. Stay tuned, because this story is only beginning and every detail counts. If you want to follow the latest updates, understand the science in real time, and witness humanity's response to this unprecedented event, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay with us as we track 3I Atlas all the way to Earth.